Nick Bonito wasn't as nearly as strong with his commentary about the team that he joined, but it was still pretty powerful. As he was on a podcast last week during the Super Bowl, and he had this to say about his first exposure to the Broncos.
It was tough, bro, because like you said, like that was my first losing season, like damn near ever. So I'm just like, bro, like what do we do? Like, I'm just kind of looking around. Everybody, it's kind of weird. I don't know if y'all ever been in it, but it's like, it's tough to kind of want to keep motivating and pushing yourself because, like, some dudes in there just, like, trying to collect the check in there, bro. And it's like, bro, we don't got no dogs for real. But at the same time, I'm, like, realizing, like, that's kind of why they drafted, like, guys like me, guys that come from winning programs to kind of, like, change the culture of what's going on.
Okay. Wow. It's a little juicy.
Go ahead,
Mark.
Who was the head coach when he got drafted? Was it?
Yeah, it was Coach Clown
Was
Show.
it Nate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your buddy.
Yeah.
Your guy.
Your guy. Nathaniel.
Yeah.
Hey, Nathaniel's a good guy.
Just a bad
turns
coach.
Out he's not a very good.
Right.
Turns out he's not a good.
Yeah.
But he's a good guy.
So much speed.
Yeah.
So much speed.
So much speed.
What are we doing?
Yeah, not a good
doing?
look, man. Not a good look. A bad look. Just
Mark,
a
do you
bad
have
look.
guys? I mean, I think
Yeah, what do
every
you think?
team. I think every team has some guys that are just cashing a check, just collecting a check. Especially when you're not good. What happens when you're not good? No one cares about team goals. No one cares about the playoffs. Everyone is out looking for just looking out for themselves. That's it. And what they're going to get and staying healthy. So that's just the way it works in the NFL. And then all of a sudden you go from a great culture to a terrible culture. And that's what happened here. So it's hard to rebuild that back up, but I'm sure that you had a couple guys, right, that you look at and say, hey, how committed, exactly are you? Do you love football or are you just here to get paid?
I think over the course of time, yeah. I mean, I know how hard it is to be a part of a losing program. I don't know how many losing programs you were part of, Stoke, but I had a couple, not quite midway, kind of a quarter of the way through or a third of the way through my career when I was in Washington. It's tough to show up every day when you don't really have a chance to win. It's tough to be a professional in those situations. I was fortunate to play on enough good teams that those things were handled. Like if a guy wasn't doing his work, the organization would get rid of him. And so there was an accountability factor on most of those teams that I played on. But, yeah, I understand what Nick is saying, man. You come into a situation where they haven't won. There's not a lot of people that know how to win. There's not a big demand. There's not a quarterback that's really leading the way. It's a hard situation to be in.
All right, well, here's one more from Bonito.
Yeah, and, like, that's, something I just noticed, like, my rookie year, like, halfway through the season, like, dudes talking about Cancun on 3, bro. I'm like, bro, what are we doing, bro? Like, yeah. But that's at the same time, it's like, that's the kind of losing culture, like, we kind of came into in Denver. So, I mean, yeah, it was really tough, bro, because, like, I came in, I wanted to win the chip year one. I've never kind of lost in any way, sort of fashion, like, either high school and college. So, that was definitely new to me, but, it's been better for sure. I know we got guys in the locker room that trying to win and can do that. So.
Well, I think, Mark, it's hard to build something. You think about building something and trying to build a winner and change culture when it's going bad, when you're changing every year. And or every couple years, you got a new coach, a new voice, and it's rinse and repeat. And so, this is what happens, right? I mean, halfway through the season, you're losing again. If you've been around here 3 or 4 years, you're like, here we go again. What do you start doing? You don't care about playoffs. You start thinking about, all right, let's plan our vacation. What are we going to be doing in the offseason? I mean, that's how quick this can happen, and that stuff does happen in the NFL.
Yeah, we always talk about the standard. What is the standard? The standard of winning. What does it take? The excellence and all that stuff. But when you don't have any standard, when you've never really won and your organization has been on the skids for a while, like that becomes the standard. Yeah. Guys just expect to lose. And, and that's, I mean, it's tough. That's why everybody comes in and says we got to change the culture. It's easy to say. It's easy to point at the culture and say, man, we got to change this. Really hard to change a culture. And that's why, that's why the Raiders are the Raiders. You know, I mean, it's hard to change it.
Well,
Gratuitous shot at the Raiders, by the way.
I love
Oh, and I
gratuitous
love it.
shots,
Bravo,
but
bravo,
wait a minute,
bravo,
Yeah.
what I
bravo,
want,
great
wait a minute,
job.
I'm staring right now at this 2022 Bronco roster. I want to know who he's talking about. Okay, I got to assume these are guys that are no longer on the team. I'm just going to throw out some names. You tell me if you think this is who he's talking about. Guys that were checking out, guys that were going about the paychecks, guys that were 1, 2, 3 Cancun. Was he talking about Bradley Chubb? Was he talking about Lloyd Cushenberry?
I did run into Bradley Chubb once in Cabo.
Okay.
Oh, might have been 1, 2, 3
Whoa.
Cabo.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Okay.
I'm just telling you what happened.
Was he talking about Baron Browning? Was he talking about Randy Gregory? He had to be talking about Randy Gregory. Come on. Ding, 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 ding. Was he talking about Melvin Gordon?
Melly Mel.
Huh? He fumbled again.
Oh, gosh.
Okay.
Sorry.
He's in Cancun and he fumbled.
All right. He fumbled in Cancun. Was he talking about Jerry Jeudy? You know, I mean, I'm looking at some of these. Was he talking about Draymond Jones?
Oof.
You guys are all very quiet here. Is this some kind
I mean,
of?
Yeah.
is
you're
this
asking.
no,
I mean,
no.
I gave
we
you
don't-
one.
we don't
Well,
know.
No,
Is
no,
it-
no, no, no,
Is this
no,
some
no,
kind of
me
bro code
and
here?
Mark.
We got some bro code here that we're afraid to violate here. Is this what I'm hearing?
Listen.
I'm hearing overwhelming silence from you two.
Wait. Well, you're asking us to speculate on something that, we're not in the locker room, so I don't want to call somebody. These are serious accusations.
All right.
Serious.
Yeah.
You have
and so I don't want to
no
call.
take, no opinion.
Did I give you one ding? Did I give you a ding?
Yeah, but even then it was a ding, ding,
No, it was a
ding,
ding,
ding.
ding, ding,
Yeah,
ding.
yeah,
It was
yeah.
a little bit, it was one of those. Yeah. So I gave you a ding.
Yeah,
So
okay.
there you go. That's all you get.
Muted ding.
And I did tell you I saw Bradley Chubb in Cabo.
All right,
So
okay.
Mark didn't say anything.
Yeah, Stink, you haven't said
Real
anything.
quiet over there.
I gave you a
Mark.
bunch of
No, I was just thinking about
Russ. How about Russ? Huh? Russ was on that team.
Was he?
Yeah.
I was just thinking about a game I did that season, late in that season. I can't remember exactly what the game was. And it's right before that game. That's when Nathaniel Hackett released his play calling duties. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, he got fired like a week later or whatever. But I remember being on the practice field Friday watching practice, and I go to a Friday practice every week. And I remember walking back in from practice, talking to our production crew, going, that might be the worst practice I've ever been a part of.
Wow.
Like, I was just like, dude, I was getting anxiety watching how little work was getting done, because I was thinking back to my career. I go, if Mike Shanahan was in charge of this practice, he'd have blown the whistle and he'd have ripped our asses up one side and down the next. And it was just so inefficient, and it was the longest practice that I had been to the entirety of the year. It was a Friday practice, Stoke. How long were your Friday practice? Hour 15, hour 30, something like that?
Yeah.
They were on the field for 2 hours and 30 minutes on Friday. It was like the most inefficient. It was awful. And I remember walking in, where we were doing our production meetings going, dude, that's the worst Friday practice I've ever witnessed.
Yeah, I mean, look, it was bad, right? I mean, the culture was bad, the standard was bad, the all of those things, and it's hard to break, though. I think that's the thing here. It's hard to get out of that rut, and you look back at you do have certain guys that really don't love football, and they're just looking for any excuse to tap out, and if you're in one of those situations, it's each man for himself.
So, Sean Payton in 2 years hasn't been perfect. We've all had some of our issues with his play calling and game management. But is it safe to say that when it comes to changing the culture of the Denver Broncos, in the 2 years that he's been here, he gets what, Stink? What kind of grade?
A plus.
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, there's no question, with competition street and all the stuff. Like, there's the way they play, all those things. Yes, he gets an A plus.
no doubt. He gets bonus points. Because of the mess of Hackett. So he gets, sometimes you get that bonus question and it's an easy one. It's like, oh, thank the Lord. Well, he just made 110 out of 100. I mean, he's got 8 plus 5 pluses. I mean, to change what we saw and how bad this thing had gotten, and what a mess it was. You're talking about the Hackett, you're talking about the Russ, and you're able to flip everything around now where the culture is a winning culture, the players believe, and then it translated to wins and playoffs on the football field. So yeah, he's crushed.